takes a 2-week break from making videos, comes back to more Disney Plus stuff. I no longer regret my yearly subscription plan. This is definitely going to be a tax write-off. Readers, if you know me, then you know that one of my top 5 films from Pixar Animation is Monsters Incorporated. Yes, part of the reason is because James P. Sullivan is one of my top-ranked Disney crushes if you've seen the video I made on it a while back, I understand. But other than that, the movie takes the very tried and true childhood concept of monsters under the bed and hiding in the closet and just gives it that grand what-if idea surrounding it that, in my opinion, places it up there in Pixar's most profitable and entertaining IPs. And while the only real ball the prequel Monsters University dropped was when it broke continuity regarding how Mike and Sulley first met, it was still a solid film that definitely added to the overall lore and world-building possibilities. It also made me extra bummed that the original concept for Monsters Incorporated 2, Mike and Sulley trying to find where Boo moved to once her pieced back together door revealed she was gone one day, got scrapped because Pixar didn't know if Disney was gonna outright buy them and wanted to hold on to it just in case. Thankfully, we got something to help fill that void in the form of the sequel series exclusively on Disney Plus, Monsters at Work. Now, at the time of this recording, only the first 2 episodes of the 10-episode season are available, but by the time this airs, episode 3 will already be on Disney Plus. And in those 10 episodes, while Mike and Sulley are still both prominent in the story and voiced once again by Billy Crystal and John Goodman respectively, we focus on new hire Tylor Tuskmon and his journey in climbing the ranks of Monsters Incorporated, just like his role model and now newly made boss James P. Sullivan. And it's in that aspired escalation that within the first 2 episodes of the series, I was able to piece together exactly what Tylor is gonna both experience and have to choose between by the time this series comes to an end. Now, before I continue, I just want to let you know that from here on out, this video will contain spoilers for the first 2 episodes of Monsters at Work. So if you care about being spoiled for this show, I advise you to stop this video now and go watch them before continuing. Cool? Cool. So, I'll be honest, readers, one of the things I didn't expect about Monsters at Work was how soon after the events of Monsters Incorporated it took place. And yes, I know that one of the selling points of Monsters at Work is that it's a sequel series to Monsters, Inc., but I don't think you understand exactly how taken aback I was to see how soon its story happened afterwards. Like, when it was first announced, I was expecting Monsters at Work to take place after the actual end of Monsters, Inc. following the time skip. The scarers have successfully made the transition to jokesters, the energy crisis is averted because laughter is more prominent than screams, and they finally got a footing on how to actually make kids laugh. And Sulley is fully in his new role of Monsters, Inc. CEO, tie and all. Instead, Monsters at Work basically takes place immediately after Waternoose is arrested. Mike and Sulley have just been made the bosses by the board, and the scarers are actually in the process of learning to become jokesters. Basically, because its story takes place immediately during the beginning of the area of the time skip the first movie has near its end, Monsters at Work is pretty much the Dragon Ball Super of Monsters Incorporated. So when we meet the main character Tylor, who was initially brought on board as a scarer before the situation with Boo and Waternoose was arrested, we're looking at the change with eyes just as fresh as his are. We've never seen the struggle Monsters Incorporated had to go through in order to successfully convert the company from gathering screams to laughter. We never saw Mike and Sulley's struggles in running the company during their first few weeks. In a way, Tylor is a perfect point of view character for a Monsters, Inc. currently in the early stages of handling change, especially when you consider his current struggle of no longer being able to do what he initially set out to accomplish, but is willing to do what it takes in order to accomplish a goal he knows is within his reach. I saw that possibility after the end of the first episode once he realized that being a jokester was within his reach. But I also saw something else, not only in the first episode, but the second episode as well. I saw within Tylor a tried and true yet predictable conflict that he's going to have to come to terms with as the season progresses. And it all surrounds his newfound co-workers in MIFT.
Okay, I'll admit it. They're weird.
You see, MIFT, or MIFT, is the Monsters Incorporated's facilities team. They're the company's maintenance and sometimes janitorial staff. And because the company didn't want to turn him down since he was already guaranteed a job before the shift happened, Tylor was placed with them because
my folks scrimped and saved working in our family hardware store so that I could go to the school of scaring.
Did you say your parents own a hardware store?
Yeah, but that's not
Perfect! Report to MIFT!
So not only is Tylor placed in a department he doesn't want to be in, but his co-workers also seem to be made up of a few misfits. Misfits who, unlike Tylor, seem to really enjoy what they do. Now, I say that because while Tylor can't really be a scarer anymore, the end of episode 1 gives him the opportunity to become the equivalent to it according to the changes made in the company, a jokester. With a few words of encouragement from Sulley regarding his humble beginnings at the company, and Mike vowing to teach monsters how to be funny in order to increase the jokesters roster, Tylor's goal of getting on the laughing room floor is now more possible than ever. But in order to do that, he has to survive being a MIFTer with his less than ideal co-workers. However, this is where things are going to be a bit difficult for Tylor, because while the end of the first episode showed us that he's willing to weather the storm in order to get what he wants, the end of episode 2 hints that being a MIFTer might be what he truly wants. Which means by the end of the season, Tylor might be in a position where not only his skills as a jokester have improved to be considered for promotion, but his relationship with the MIFT team and his mechanical skills surrounding the position might improve as well. And if that's the case, he's more than likely going to have to make a very tough decision. Accept his inevitable promotion as a jokester, or stay a MIFTer with his fellow co-workers that he's grown to appreciate over the course of the season. Yes, I was able to realize that this was the direction the season was going to head in by the end of the second episode. Did you not see my Invincible video? This is literally a talent of mine. However, because I know the internet and I have plenty of evidence that messages are worth repeating in multiple videos, I just know that someone out there watched the first 2 episodes of Monsters at Work, clocked the overall theme, plot, and development arc Tylor is going to go through regarding learning and appreciating his fellow team of misfits despite having his eyes aimed at the prank floor, and went, I already know what's going to happen in this show, thus it's not worth my time. So if you're watching this, and you actually thought that after watching those 2 episodes, I am here to say, honey, sweetie, baby, that's fucking stupid. Of course you already know what's gonna happen. Everyone who's capable of utilizing common sense knows what's going to happen. There's no such thing as an original idea anymore. And that's honestly the point of this video, readers, because if I was able to predict that this was the route that the show was going to go in, then more than likely others did as well. And that's okay. Because it's not plot predictability that should be the end-all be-all regarding if something is worth your time or good or not. It's seeing everything play out in regards to how we got to the conclusion we were able to spot early on. When it comes to predictability regarding story beats, plot threads, or just how things are going to go in general, the phrase, "it's not the destination, it's the journey," should always ring true first and foremost. Especially when a story like Monsters at Work, a show that while keeps the audience that initially grew up on the first two movies is, let's just be honest here, aimed more toward children, is probably going to be a child's first exposure to not only this story about respect and appreciation in the face of wanting greatness via humble beginnings, but in the story tropes and plot points that come along with Tylor's dilemma as well. And just because you've seen it before in various films, television, and other media, doesn't mean that it isn't worth watching just because you were able to properly predict where it's going. Readers, there's no denying that there may be a lot of things about Monsters at Work that'll end up being predictable, especially for those of us who've seen this specific combination of story beats in the past. But the main thing to remember when we watch or consume media like this is that just because we've been exposed to stories similar to the one a show or book or video game is trying to tell, doesn't mean they're not immediately worth our time. It may be similar in some degrees to others you've experienced in the past, yes, but that doesn't mean that the similarities aren't capable of conveying new ideas, or generating new experiences, or just being as enjoyable, if not more, as what you experienced beforehand. The first two episodes of Monsters at Work might have been a clear painting of Tylor's development at Monsters, Inc. for the season's remaining 8 episodes for those of us who paid attention and are used to these types of stories. But like I said before, there's a reason why the saying, "it's not the destination, it's about the journey," still holds true all of these years. And I think, despite the show's predictability, there's still a lot of surprises it has in store for us. But I digress, readers. Your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below what you thought of the first few episodes of Monsters at Work if you've seen it. Or if you feel like sharing with the rest of the class something you've watched or read that you're glad that you gave a chance despite how predictable a portion of the story was because of its similarities to something else you've already experienced. Whichever question you decide to answer, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.